Meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so the first thing on the agenda tonight is the SB Spark Award. SB stands for Exceptional Student Performance this year. This award is given to students who are doing well academically and have an exceptionally positive attitude about school. They demonstrate respect and responsibility towards staff and their peers. They show courage by not conforming to peer pressure and refuse to accept anyone who bullies. The school board and district want to recognize these students by celebrating their success at the beginning of the board meeting. The students will receive a certificate, and then we have everybody's names here. All the students that have received the award, including everybody that's here tonight. We got those in there too. So, and we're going to draw a name for a new Chromebook for whoever we draw from this. So I'll go ahead and hand these out tonight. So from Sweet Home High School, we have Jack Simmons. Also from Sweet Home High School, Kaylee Cooley. From Sweet Home Junior High School.
Oh,
Emma
yeah.
Anderson.
Come here, come here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
waiting a minute, she's here.
I didn't say, come on
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Okay, from Sweet Home Junior High School, Emma Anderson. Also from Sweet Home Junior High School, Landon Pruitt. Foster Elementary, Cindy Lou Smith. Foster Elementary, it's progress. Asher Anderson. Holly Elementary. Hope I pronounced this right, Lindley Pierce. Also from Holly Elementary, Annabelle Mobley. Hope Heights Elementary, Caleb Tenbush. Also from Hope Heights Elementary, Brooke Parsons. Sweet Home Charter School, Dan Jorgensen. School, Martinville. Okay, we'll make sure and get these to the kids that weren't here to get them tonight. Real quick, all the kids that got an award, I get you to come up here. The New Era wants to get a picture of you guys from the newspaper. So we'll get that done real quick, and then after that, we'll draw a name. The stand right here, what's that way?
Smaller ones in the front, move up front. There you go.
All right. One thing that helps a lot is your me. I didn't see it. That's perfect. Now I can tell who you are. All right, let's go.
All right. Got everybody's names in here. I'm gonna mix this up a little bit more. Make sure they're all in here still. Scott, you want to draw?
No.
You're just here to keep us on it, Scott. Jim, you want to draw?
I guess.
Okay, dig in there.
Just one.
There we go. All right, it is Cohen Prescott from the charter school. Give this all.
Make sure to code each that.
And for the parents, we do recognize this is a school night, so if you would like to take your kids and go home, we're not going to be offended. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to do that as well.
I will do that.
All right, we did make a change to the normal flow of the meetings. We moved public comments up to the beginning. One of the concerns was getting them before the meeting happens as opposed to the end of the meeting. This is actually back to where we had it for a long time. So since we didn't give warning of that before this, we're going to do it twice through the meeting. So I don't see anybody from the public. Do we have any public comments? I didn't receive any forms tonight, so give anybody the option. None of you guys can talk. You guys know you got a lot to say. You get your chance here in a minute. Okay. Next, we have agenda approval. I didn't receive any late additions or anything like that, so it's what we've seen.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Certified and classified representatives. Velma, welcome back. I'll hold Steve off a little longer. You can see over him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Belma. All right, Steve.
See if you can beat that, Steve. Keep it short.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. Congrats on getting that done with the class fight. You guys, I know you spoke about, I don't want to talk about that, but I want to share something. I asked Jennifer McIntyre, she's the English teacher, if I can share something with her, because she said it. It was funny because she said this a year ago when it was her first year here, and her husband was talking, and I asked her if I could share this, and she said that her and her husband were talking, and between the two of them, they've been involved in 4 different schools. And they were talking, and it said, and her husband said, it seems like Sweet Home is 20 years behind in education in the best possible way. And she gave me the context of that she'd been in, her and her husband had taught in 4 different schools. They graduated, in the 2000s, but, this conversation was that both of them was watching schools systematically eliminate electives, and student academic intervention was taking place in special interests, prioritize punitive behavior over building relationships, and both of them, when everything was being cut, and No Child Left Behind, we saw multiple cuts in programs, and so, when they came here, she said it was an absolute breath of fresh air to see electives like woodshop, metals, forestry, animal science, sewing, culinary, still thriving. And I go back to that, and I just think that, that is a pretty strong statement to say, Sweet Home's 20 years behind in education, the best possible. How awesome if you think about that. And that's how I feel, as we came off of this last week, we're at the end here, and I told Heather last night, kind of go to school, but we're getting close to the end, and there's been a lot of those Mondays after maybe. But I sent out an email. And I just want to let you guys know about some things, but that is something about here as we start talking about budgets and things, to have so many offerings, because our students in our school, it's a speaking of menagerie with just every personality, every person, every socioeconomic, it's great to see what we have. And I sent out an email, kind of the clean praises of Tomas and Ralph and Luke and Aaron. I let Gary know about it, but Rose's response, I want to share it. He said, this year was incredible because of the team we have. And I think he stole that phrase from Ralph, but Ralph always says, he says, winning was a huge piece of the puzzle, and having moved around had been a game changer. He anticipates needs and has stepped in multiple times this year to fill shoes along the way. I just love the timing of Maybe. Teachers are tired, students are often checked out, and parents are eager to talk about all the bad things in education. There's generally a lot of negativity floating around this time of year, and Maybe flips the script. Kids are excited to go to school and be a part of something bigger than themselves. The lip did that tenfold. The community was excited. I had multiple adults text me wishing they were back in high school this weekend. We have a great team here, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. And I told Ralph during the draft meeting, I said, good luck, way to go. Now you got to try to talk. Because, if you guys,
I don't know if any of you happen to go and watch any of the baby stuff. There's something going on constantly. And I know, you know, it wasn't long ago you were there doing all this stuff, and I know you were at the after your daughter was on the court, or I don't know. So, and, you know, if you don't get to be around it and get to see it, you need to go there and see this because everything, we steal a little something from new people that come and to make it better. And this last week, and I'm sure there's other stuff I could focus on, but I want to look at that maybe because it. I don't know how kids did on solving systems of equations by substitution last week. I don't really care because we did have some work going on, but the community and team building that happened during that week, it was, and I'll come back to you. We did a marching band. We marched down the street, and in 1983, we were second in the state in a big competition, and we marched the band both sides down the street. We used to march behind the band, and you were out here, and Barbie was out here as just a drove of kids. You know, we marched into there, they came in together in their classes. We, you know, with the marching band, and the unity of that on the final day of that was just incredible. We had our assemblies, you know, which we always have. And Coach Rosa built in a schedule on Wednesday, but, you know, and one of the things I talked about was none of this stuff happens without great leadership. And we have great leadership. And just like in a sports program, you gotta have leadership. And anything successful in a business, or whatever you're doing, it's successful because of leadership. And we had buy-in from our staff. They listened to from us, and you know, we took and we built a schedule that had an hour to make to let that so you could walk it. What was fun for me is I don't know if you saw me in it, my rest was in it, but I only had that 20-second piece. I didn't know anything else that had happened in that lift up until I watched it for the first time on Friday. I gotta watch it Thursday night, but Friday when everybody and showing my students. But we had the lift up, the track meet, probably more populated with the students because one thing we kept them together because we did go down there, you know, in a parade. The community service projects. This year, I've been washing buses with my classes. You guys are aware of the community service project? And, you know, that's something that we did it in the 80s. And it was, I don't know if it was during the Spirit Week or maybe, but we did, and then it went away. And when Steve Huntley was the activities director, he brought it back. And so we've been doing this, I think it's 8 or 9 years in a row. I've taken a crew over, we wash buses, take them over to watch buses, you spread bar, pick up trash, write thank yous. Everybody's doing something. And what's, you know, we want 4 Suburbans, 1 bus, and maybe my truck. So it worked out pretty good. So 1 year, Daryl, 1 year we grabbed them all cleaner and we watched the anti-graffiti like on the dashboard. We didn't run it on a brand new bus, but it was counted. So, but you know, to see kids go out and you built it up, you let it in the week before during homeroom. We had this little break where go get in your spots where we're going to do the lift up, but you're building it up and you have this assembly. And then we're talking about in our homeroom, the social emotional learning, the building relationship, doing this. By the time we came to right, and we're doing this, there was a united front where all the kids, and like Rob and I were talking, there's we get a couple kids in our community. You get a couple kids that aren't doing anything out of 600 that are. You know, you get a couple here and a couple there, maybe 40 or 50, but you have 50 of trash and do things because it's what we do. And I just think that was this last week, the seniors on that, so, it was a heck of a race this year for that, but they got it. The community's, service project, the assembly, the track meet, I do not know how long they've been doing a chariot race. But I remember when we couldn't do the chariot race because we didn't have any tires on the track. We didn't have a chariot race. I don't think that one lasted a couple of years. So. It wasn't very long, but.
We can talk about that.
We needed a track, so, it's timely service. But, have you guys all watched it? You all watched it? You can watch it, you can rewatch it, you can watch it again. We did it in 2017. Melissa Crump on a cell phone, and somebody carried holding a CD player blowing music, and it was the one take. And in the 2018, it was better because now we were doing it. And in 2018, we were going to do it in 2020 again, but COVID, and so we couldn't. And so it got scratched. But bringing this back, Coach Rosen doing this with his leadership group and how they just kind of took things on, because when you got a group, you got to be able to send them off. And with my wrestling, I tell my kids, you got to be mature, and if you want to be good, you got to be able to train when no one's there to push you to train. And that's what he's got. Some of our leadership kids, they just go in a direction and do their job. You know what that becomes later on. That becomes somebody that's a successful business owner one day, or a successful employee for somebody because they know how to do their job. But it comes down to we're here for kids. We're here for kids. This I when I first came into this, I said the reason I'm back, the reason I've been in this I think I said I just finished 32 years. I'm at 32 years, and this is the best year I've had in education. Well, this year has been one of the best years I've ever had in education. And it's great to have it this way, because you guys all know people that have gone south in their professions, and you guys remember some teachers, I can name some that went out very south, and very cold to what we do. And what I love is that the teachers in our district, many of them, they're here to serve kids. Now the minute one of them stubs their toe, there's going to be 28 people get on Facebook and want to say something about it. And all they're searching for when they do that, all they are searching for is just like if a Democrat posts something, it's not going to change the Republicans' mind. And if a Republican posts something about the Democrat, it's not going to change the Democrat. And all the people some of these people out there that are throwing fodder on Facebook, all they're wanting is for somebody to say, yeah. That's self-serving. That's what it is. And it's cowardice. They hide behind a screen. They get on their phone and they can send it without ever having to look somebody in the face. I recently had some chowderhead in the wrestling community try to run me a text. Well, I don't do that. That coward will answer his phone. So, these people that are, I know that we're getting hit with a few things, and you're always going to have that. Maybe we can out of turn, but again, I've been here long. I'm going to be 57, so I can say what I want. But I what we're doing here, man, this is a great job. This is a great job, and what we get to do is pretty special. And trying to outdo this lift up thing, gonna be a tough one, but if it doesn't be better, that's all on Rosa. So we'll leave it on here. But also we had staff appreciation week last week. That was cool. Thanks for the stuff in central office. We got treated very, very nice, and thought it was fun to be family. We ended up, get out ice cream the other day and put on the mom and said, ice cream is better than penicillin or value. It cures it all sometimes. So it's, you know, we're getting ready to get to the end now. Graduation's coming up. I need you guys to RSVP. I need to know, you get a U and a +1. If we are going inside, we don't get your +1. Okay? So I'll get numbers from you on that, but you know, I hope we're outside. But I'm not gonna guarantee anything, but I know we can manage. But if we do that, and, does anybody have any? No one has any kids. Yeah, so if, you and +1 will put you there, be there about 6:45. And we'll have seating for you there. You know, our staff, we have a big staff that participates right now. We have. Which is pretty incredible. So, I don't know if you saw that, Ramil pretty good. He's very good with the meeting stuff, but I don't know if you guys saw that. What's happening for the seniors starting May 15th. He put a thing out on YouTube. It's just a video of me. Get those going on. So it's going to be we're going to have a 25. You know, so that's pretty exciting though. Do you guys have any comments or questions for me, or want to ask me anything about what's going on, or I can answer? I can answer the best I can. Seems like I'm forgetting something, but I'll.
So these things, Steve.
Hey, is this it for you?
No, one more.
One more?
Yeah.
Okay, don't screw it up between now and then.
Try not to.
We'll do our best. So, thank you guys for your service here, and we're gonna have another election. And one of the things that we've had, the difference between us and some schools that went on strike, year strike, were underwater, was strength here on the sweet home, community minded service kids, and so we just got to make sure that stays. All right, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
To add on to that,
Not offensive.
the other day in my class reunion meeting, I had people sitting there and they said, "Oh, it sure would be nice if we had a wood shop again." I said, "Well, we do." They said, "Well, it'd really be nice if we had a metal shop." I said, "Well, we do." And they said, "It would really be good if we had," and I said, "We have," I went through the things. And they said, "Really? At Sweetum?" Yep. We do. So I think there is things to be proud of here.
All right, student report. I don't see a student here. Ralph, did they give you anything to throw out, or?
You may have gotten worn out with the. I don't think he does it yet. It takes it now, so it doesn't bring on. Yeah, we almost had the. Drop in the water. We'll keep it very briefly about it. Sports stuff, we had a history, the left one, kind of down here in the rain of the go.
Thanks, Ralph. Right, superintendent's report. Terry, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, one thing tagging on with what Steve said is amidst this other May week, everything going on, there's also a CTE event. And that CTE event it was hosted by our CTE crew. I think it was largely put together by Welcome. Welcoming special ed students from across the region. They invited 9 different schools And the schools that attended were Newport, Alsea, Harrisburg, Central Lynn, South Albany, and then our students from the junior high as well. For an engaging hands-on exploration of career pathways. Students and staff led a variety of activities to introduce participants to CTE programs and potential future careers they had in. These are the sessions that were offered: forestry. I said I wasn't going to say this one. Scott co-chairs. They had axe throwing, pole climbing, and choker sets. In metals, they welded hanging basket holders for sunflower. In product design, the students did screen printing. They did a shirt. Woods, they built birdhouses. And in agriculture, they planted hanging baskets. And they got to learn see pet FFA show animals. There were a number of the directors who were over there, and Josh, myself, Daryl's almost always there. I don't think you've heard that people there. First year public driving. One student there from Newport, just during lunchtime, they were getting served their lunches. And he said he'd always wanted to try welding and never got a chance to do so. Now that he got a chance to do so, he found out what he wants to do with his life. Man, that just hit me like a lightning bolt. Here are all these other districts where they either can't or haven't done this for their kids. And so a couple board meetings back, I think we talked about what a strong tradition a Sweet Home has in doing so, making the accommodation so that kids can participate. That was really, really cool. You know, just that one little facet, all this other stuff going on. So that's pretty cool that our group put that on and invited the other schools. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Switching to.
We're all limited, so you guys know, I got Steve. High school, somebody at my, you know, today, so here. But I said, I love the job, he said, being retired, supposed to be done, and I said, I love how a great team, opportunity, you know, I got such a great team that goes out and the service. They don't do this kind of stuff, they gross. It's like, we're all the places fit in. It's like, the other school and other people, they can't believe the things that our teachers are doing with. And then, spreading out to the other kids.
That's on our district webpage as well, pictures from that day. The New Era filmed the marching band, so if you didn't get a chance to see that or you haven't seen it since, you can go right to the district Facebook page and see that. Yeah, good stuff, pretty cool. Okay, now in your packet, page 4, our enrollment last the end of the prior month 674, and the last month 668. You look, a lot of those numbers, you know, have stayed very much the same or bumped up by 1 or 2. Overall, though, that again puts us down 6 overall. So we continue along with that. We are tracking those. We're talking, you know, some people that moved completely out of the area. Some we have moving within schools. As Rob's talked about before, we've got early graduates, you know, there's a variety of things, but we are monitoring that. Also, the attendance winner for this last month was again Hawthorne with 92%. Well, good job to Hawthorne. Moving on to strategic plan progress, pillar 1 outstanding achievement, health curriculum. We have been sticking right along with adopting curriculum. Most of you, I think, you were here, language arts, we've done language arts, we've done math, science, you know, we're just rolling along to get research-based curriculum for our students. We had the display out here in the hallway of the K-8 health curriculum. That is Great Body Shop. That's something that we've had here with. Well, I think it's 21 years or something that we've been using that. That's one of the options that the state gave us. The teachers came together and that is what we selected both at the K6 and 7-8 level is the Great Body Shop. Going through that cycle, once we get everything approved, we'll get that ordered. And again, today was our day to show, you know, we advertise that, that'd be available here on site for people to look at. And so very few people did so. Questions on that piece?
I think it's current right now, if anyone, parents can see the curriculum and they can opt out of anything that they want to.
Have we done the same thing with high school curriculum?
We were looking at it and right now we're gonna continue to explore that some. One of the breaks a little bit there. There was, unlike the elementary, middle school where there were several options given. There was exactly. It was given at high school. And as we researched through that, it's like. You know. We can't do bids like that, so like. State sole source curriculum like that. So we're slowing down with that, looking around, just making sure that we understand. What we're getting into there. We're allowed to do a 2-year. Be permanent if we ultimately choose to go that way.
But do we have old curriculum? If. I'm just thinking. Teachers over the next year, we haven't adopted a curriculum as part of their,
Well, they'll be added.
that we'll still have to
Yeah.
teach that. Check that box.
Yeah.
And they would be left doing it on their own, right?
They will continue. To use the information that they have in that. They will need to. There's some new standards. That have been added. They will need to make up the lessons for that.
Which,
And yes. includes our standard.
And the high school can opt out of any of that.
I didn't hear your comment.
So in high school, opt out of any of that as well.
Yes.
Number 2. Anti-bullying, and I've asked Brian Brands, our student services director, if he would speak to this.
I haven't. So, we as a district spend a lot of time on. Bullying, like teaching kids how to deal with this. Principals ever have a day where you don't deal with bullying and some. Or we're probably every day. I can't reject. When I was an assistant principal, I can tell you with a lot of times. You can kind of see on the handout, some of the things, I believe the first 3 are probably more elementary and principals. Feel free to type in some of the things we use for curriculum, counsel's choice. Really it's built around the idea that most problems that arise when children are small, they can be handled in their own using one of the 9 problem solving strategies. You can see the 9 strategies there. Teachers, counselors, work with kids on going through this. I've seen our staff do it. It's very effective. You know, it could be a real issue or maybe a scenario and I'm working through that with students talking about, okay, what can you do? Talk it out. Walk away. And the other thing I've seen, kind of see the paragraph right before second steps. It talks about what's a small problem and what's a big problem. I had an elementary student, I think it's a big problem, but when they talk through it, they realize it's really not, it's a small problem. The second one there, second step, research based, yeah, my kind of skills including the emotion management, problem solving, responsible decision making. A lot of all these, you know, probably the common denominators just working Kids on so. The third one, Orange Frog, period. 4 or 5 years, Orange Frog. Orange, teachers use Orange Frog, SEL lessons. Staff have done some community stuff. What was it, growing up, or when we did, Orange Farms, you've probably seen that, staff going in the beginning. Staff has been a highlight, curriculum other staff use. Going on page 2 talks about Orange Farm promotes culture of happiness, resilience, positive behavior. Great thing about Orange Farm is really stressing to our kids and pushing for just that happy mindset. You can see the SEL lessons, managing emotions, compassion, loving. These are all things, lessons that our staff are doing with kids. At the junior high, during October, which is an bullying month, teachers engage in SEL lessons, addressing bullying. Teachers also go through lessons during homeroom. Greg Hoffman teaches and lessons for our health curriculum. So we're constantly stressing and working on anti-bullying kids. At the high school level, homeroom teachers teach SEL lessons. Counselors provide, kind of a one-to-one situation, provide students with advice on their peer. One of our counselors can say lunch group that meets at lunch. Kids want to talk about issues, working problems going on. That's not voluntary, but that's something that's. And then kind of lastly, we spend a lot of time on bullying. Sometimes parents have a hard time, we might get a call, oh, my child's being bullied, but they have to understand, and we do work on this with kids, the difference between bullying and peer-to-peer conflict, right? I mean, that's something we're really working on. Kids, and probably something even personal parents need to understand. But kind of on that last page, kind of talks about, peer-to-peer conflict, might be a disagreement. Well, a kid may not be bullied, but it's just a peer-to-peer disagreements and argument. Whereas bullying, name calling, insults, physical intimidation, something that's persistent. So sometimes you just need to work through, is this really bullying, or is it peer-to-peer? So, and the principal, same thing. Brian said that a lot of the things that I'm here to call use the term bullying, and those what we talking about, and if we get to it, we share it. It sounds like this. It's very very complex when I use it. But it's saying that bad behavior, and so the democracy turned into a sort of bullying and reality we look into here. That's the biggest.
I would just add that we always take action on all of those.
Yeah.
We don't wait until bullying, but we do like to specify with an substantial that this actually isn't bullying. This is a conflict. This is harassment. This is whatever to get them on the correct way, bring them to it, and we do that.
I have a question. So you talk about in homeroom, you guys review this stuff with the high school kids. How effective do you feel that is? Watching. Well, so my understanding is it's kind of like lessons that and maybe like a little test or quiz or some stuff that they're writing down or something. Is it effective with the high schoolers?
What I would say is, thing to do.
Yeah.
Homeroom is one of the things, and so I have an incredible team of counselors. They build SEO, a social emotional learning curriculum, and put it out there. So we, along with everything else, so when we do break down the put it in there. I think it depends on the kids. You can get talking to kids about stuff. A lot of the things that we're talking to kids in our own rooms are things that I probably believe. I think there are that's parent, we would say to them, thou shalt, we do it. But
think high school, there's always been, because, high school, a lot of complex stuff, but I think that since the codes, I think we've done a much more. You have to sort of catch stuff at the different things in home sort of setting. Because there's more of it, and you have probably more than you make. There's so many things that happen so much during that time period. We're still cleaning up messes and so. The concept of the constability, the stuff that they can manage, and part of the great because not only build the bricks, they're like a base setting that builds that. I think it's effective, but it's, there's so much stuff. It's sort of got to make sure you can. Congratulations.
Right.
I'm glad we have it. I think it's accountable, and because we want to be looking at conflict. The 700 kids and 700 kids.
I mean, I have a high schooler, so I know about these holy rooms or whatever, and maybe at times seems more of like redundant than it seems like a different way of approaching it. You know, you give Steve Thorpe a way to approach it, he may be way more creative with the approach than like, watch this and take this, and then it's not as effective, so.
It's one of the things that we have to be so familiar. And the crazy part is, we think about the kids in our school. I have to worry as well about the kids in my school, because about teachers going with some kind of teacher company, we can put out things, we will abuse or with a lot of things. And so our council, we've got teachers. Are you equipped to do this? And sometimes they'll say. And then so we'll kind of have somebody in. But
Awesome, thank you.
I think the point why I'd ask Brian to share this is, you know, Steve was talking about people love to hop online and spout things off to try and get things started. Statistically, over time, what do we know about bullying? It starts in kindergarten. It peaks in 9th grade, and then it starts to taper off. It will disappear in schools at the same rate bad behavior disappears in society. We work hard May week. That's a lot of that's relationships. A lot of the positivity stuff we do, the character building that we do. You know, there's an awful lot of things that fall under the umbrella of what we're doing to try to get it to stop. A ton of it is vernacular. Because in my 29 years, I've had parents call me. And, you know, my son or daughter's being bullied. Okay, when does it happen? Well, it happens all the time. Who have you told about it? Well, we haven't told anybody. Okay, is it happening in the first period? Well, no. Second period, you walk through that into your least shelter or your least structured times. Lunchtime, before school, typically before school, after school, evening. We've got a lot of students in there. We're going to keep working on this. It's going to continue to keep showing up. But I wanted you to have, you know, get information on some of the things that we are doing to try and combat this.
Terry, or maybe Brian, too, yeah, with the proliferation of social media and everybody's got their phone, it's at everybody's fingertips, and you see a lot of TV shows and movies about it. Cyberbullying, whatever you want to call it, or, you know, picking on kids on Facebook and whatnot. How much of that do we see here in Sweet Is it a real bad problem like it is everywhere else?
I think it's a problem, but I think it's in every district has. That's the hard part, right? They can go home and then you have the whole issue. Okay, did it happen at school? It's after school, all that, you know. Is it something we need to deal with? You know. We'll get a call. My son was bullied at baseball practice and. So yeah, I think it's, I think all schools have to deal with it.
I'm sorry, Gary.
No, we're not talking varsity baseball, JV baseball, we're talking completely separate. You know, so there are things that happen in the community that, well, this goes to the school. You know, myself.
Sure, the lines get pretty blurry, I'm sure, sometime.
There's also a growing quite a divide in the perception of what's going on in school. And what's students are actually experiencing in school. And the perception is that schools are terrible, they're persistently dangerous. There's all this wild stuff happening. But then students, do you feel safe? Our students feel safe at school. So that's starting to really enter into the national dialogue. Because there is such a division there of what parents perceive as happening at school and what students, recent graduates, your teachers engage, people at school care about you, where you safe. There's kind of a growing research into that right now because of disparity. Steve speaks eloquently about what's going on and also what has happened historically in Sweet Home. And there's a tremendous amount of pride and tradition that we have that I think helps out with those things. Was it last year we had the student that went forward with their parent to the police department over an issue? So there was a problem. They stepped forward and helped, get that resolved.
And the answer is yes, but I have a lot of. And I have a lot of levels to get those home and, get some, also get a name. All issues.
But it's not to the point that it's, I'm sure you can't speak to specifics, but does it seem like it's a disruption? A lot of the stuff that, and like Terry was saying, people perceive the way they perceive it and the way it's actually happening are different things. And I think a lot of the public perception, especially with a lot of the stuff that's out there on television and movies and whatnot, is that it's just crazy and everybody's picking on everybody and people are committing suicide because they're getting picked on their phone, on Facebook or whatever. Is that Sweet Homes? That's not.
I think one of the things that happens with in school, we kind of we had someone to do everything just looked at. I'm parents all the time, you have a screenshot. Tell me the kid did this. And that gives us knowledge, they're getting screenshots, also don't have the evidence. And we'll look at it, we call police. And then you will get involved with others, but so you get this stuff, I'm going to do whatever the thing. But if I go to the police, if you have, but you have personal law, it's here to be different. But we work with our parents and I'm going to be in trouble. Then don't expect anything to stop.
Right.
Because the police are our friends. And so we work with parents. I think most of our kids come to school and there's very little courage. It's like any roast, the drama that we do on a regular basis, and you know, small number of students, and with them, we have relationship like you can use that term like that. And then when we get to it, your kid was bullied, we had bad behavior, sorry, I keep on saying what I know, we have bad behavior, no child will know, so we're really open with parents and really, we're telling parents a bunch, and we want them, and when the parent is wrong, they need to share this with them, like, thank you. But for some of them, look at, because something we can take care of on our end, going to the parents, to those. I'm going to say, let's get the police on this one because it's beyond our. No. I think most of our kids go by the regular now with phone, and they're communicating everybody all the time. But I think most of it is just is normal kid stuff. But when we do things come in, we look those really good. I think most of our kids go through it. There's not an issue. They have a good 4 years. And
I would say that probably we have a problem here, just like because they're getting out of school. It happens a lot more than we are aware of. I'll tell you from a school standpoint, we hate those ones because typically when it comes to us, it's now been 3 months working online, and it's not a one meeting thing. It's a 3-day ordeal investigation
Because it's a new one, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so don't love those ones. I'd much rather have a kid come talk and say this is in whatever at lunch. You take their.
Okay, there's some of the recent ones are parent on. Parent,
Yes, sir.
oh yeah. More than ever, I see nowadays, parents, it's not. And we're seeing the kids. We need bully kids say, no, we're gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Hmm,
But so, and we educate parents that you're the only if you're reading that, or you're.
I'll just add. real quick. I think. Frankie works for great grade, you know, and I talked and we started drafting bullying reports. I have 5 since people should be great. And so. Parents say it, kids will say it, and we've had about 5 and 0 of them have been bullied, but we've had 5 reports. And so this perception that it's always there, it's either a wrong perception or.
well, I really like, Brian, this delineation here between the peer-to-peer conflict. And that's really important to not just automatic, because I think a lot of people in the public just automatically assume, like you said, that it's just rampant, it's going on all the time and nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, it's the quickest term that I think they just want to raise the awareness. That's the term they put. So I had a parent say, I didn't like your student, your teacher was bullying my student. They said, well, you didn't explain this. Well, he didn't like that the kid cheated on an assessment. And so he took on the ball and lectured about, that's not how we do things here, we got cheating on shortcuts. And the parent, we want that. And so, oh, no, that was our
That's misuse of the word. How often do you guys do contracts?
You know, probably more of a high school. Yeah, very rare, it's not too often. It is gonna be, Aaron, over eighties, Aaron, like the post office, right? We get 2 people in the hospital, the kid. They're thinking nonsense, they are, you know. Then, you know, and then so we do that, we're in this, so, the other kid, I'm asking what you did, they'll tell me what you did. And then we're doing the exact same story, but when we look out there, said, if you were foolish enough not to listen to my those words. And then we will have consequences, possibly, but the other kids will get the same message, and so we do that. Aaron will, put down the record, probably, the probably probably had. Well. And typically, it will change the statement, sometimes they don't get along, and they. So we'll do schedule changes, but it's pretty effective because they realize that.
At the beginning, because we probably do about the same number, and it's sweet. So, you know, and junior high, especially with that, they can beat each other, and then the next week with us. So they come back, and we're friends now, so we go to the office and bring up the paper. Yeah.
No, thank you for what you guys do.
Are the parents aware of all the strategies that we're using within the schools to address bullying behavior?
Yeah, also, yeah, we call, anytime there's something, we call, I know, we do the parents daily. And so, I want parents to know exactly what we're doing and it's a basically, you know, so we have a lot of parent communication.
Facts are messy things, though.
I think what I'm saying, not a per incident case, but just education in
It
general.
was within this last month, we put out a form on our Facebook page
Great.
specifically addressing this. And I would suggest some of the same people that act, whether they drive, I would like to see the department so strike, or they behave the way that we generally don't prefer people behave. These are the same folks that don't want their student to sign a no contact because they don't think that's right to do. You know, so it's a very small percentage. Small percentage. But they act poorly in public, and sometimes their students are the ones that are acting poorly in school. The majority though are going through, doing really well, doing things like last week, being helpful to others, being kind. So follow the numbers. How many did you have? Had 5, and out of those 5 reports, bullying, well,
Yeah.
it was
So
now.
5 students, people were in grade 3 within last week. And one of those was, that kid called me a bad name at lunch. One was, I told my friend a secret and they shared that with somebody else. So those are my reports that are given.
And so the ones that were founded, you didn't have, I was gonna say, that's here. Mark, you said what you had 2.
Two turned into that. The parents meet them when parents were, I think, about your peer conflict. That one's got me, yeah, together. That one, every single parent.
But our kids deserve to be safe. We work on that continually. This is an issue here as it is elsewhere. What I'm suggesting, it's not the amount of public fomentation about it is actually reflected, in the data that we have.
And so, if you see on Facebook a parent saying, first of all, listen, take it seriously, that's literally hogwash, I guess. Our principals, maybe bullying or something, make it very serious. I think so, it gets addressed. Sometimes it's, and the examples are kind of similar, right? So some girl refused to play with my daughter in recess. She gave her a dirty look in the lunch, it's like, yeah, I mean, you're third grader. But anyway, yeah, we take it serious, principals take it serious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Brian. We spoke about the agenda order already. We are going to have public comment at the end. They'll probably have the same robust discussion as earlier. Pillar 4, safe and welcoming facilities and service. Kevin, you had information.
Sure. If you recall, last summer, we tackled 2 large projects at the pool. We resurfaced it and we also replaced the pool filtration system. And so here recently, I was communicating back and forth with our pool director, AJ Bronson. And I asked AJ just kind of now that several months have gone by, what's your assessment of the pool? And he responded, and I think it's worth sharing. What AJ wrote to me, the air quality is easily 100% better, easier to breathe, easier to maintain. Water quality, while already at the top of the spectrum, is now even better. We have had nothing but compliments from patrons and even opposing swim teams who thought we built a new pool. Our closure rate has easily dropped because of these upgrades, and we have been able to stay open without any equipment failures. So good to hear positive news.
Great. There really is, a ton of positive things going on. They're easy to find if you try. Even if you don't, you'll probably bump into them as well. So is it perfect? Is it utopia? No, but I'm proud of the positive things that we continue to do. So that is it from our report.
Thanks, Terry. Next, we have the consent agenda. Approve the minutes from the April 14, 2025 school board meeting and work session. Accept the resignation of Donna Pietro, temporary special ed teacher at Foster Elementary, effective April 18, 2025. Approve the hire of Calvin Koch, advanced math at the high school for the 25-26 school year. Approve the hire of Amber. Well, I'm not even going to try that.
Amber AB.
AB, CTE agricultural science at the high school for the 2025-26 school year. Accept a donation from Kirk Mills to the high school of drum stands, cables, keyboards, music stand, instrument shaker, and green screen. Approve the hire of Kaylee Schneider intermediate teacher at Foster Elementary for the 25-26 school year, and accept the resignation from Leah White Hagan, art teacher at the high school, effective June 30, 2025.
I think that.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. A budget update, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Jason. This is item 7A in the board packet. We are nearing the end of the school year. Currently for the general fund, we've spent about $1,866,000 more than for the same time period last year. The majority of that is due to we have more filled positions and also higher salary and benefit costs. Overall, we are on track, even though we have some vigil line item over what was budgeted in total, are on track to stay within our total budget. So we're in good shape there.
Questions for Kevin?
I missed the budget meeting, sorry. You might have talked about it then, but, and I did read an article you put in the packet about the really highly escalated PERS costs. How's that looking for us?
Our PERS rates are going up significantly. I would say that the difference between our school district and some of the other school districts is
Especially one outside council. We they were using that savings.
higher permanent positions. And now with that savings gone away and they have the labor cost and they're trying to figure out what to do. You know, what we've tried to do is with quite a bit of that savings, instead to use that to both build our and also put it with that said, you know, we definitely have to monitor enrollment trends and make sure that we're matching our staffing to our enrollment, but we're not facing some of the immediate challenges that other school districts are facing. Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Kevin. We have a second reading of policy IKA for the grading and reporting system. Again, this is a second reading, so if we want to take action on this, we need to move it to an action item, and then any action has to be unanimous. We can either move it to an action item, or we can just take this as information and move it to next month for the third reading. So, sure. Yep.
Do you know that? Is this something that needs effective now, this reading?
What this is a cleanup matching policy and practice. And so this is a local internal thing. Letter grades will be used in the district, blah, 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 in this. Like I said, we're matching our practice, so we need policy and practice to.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we put this to an action item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move policy IKA to an action item. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will make this action item H. IKA. Okay, we'll move on to the action items. We got some cleanup from our what it is, our strategic plan. Thank you. First one here is to approve the change to the mission statement, which will now read: a district where all students are valued, inspired, and belong.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next one here, approve the vision statement, give each student every opportunity to achieve their potential.
Motion to approve.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next one here, approve the strategic priorities, and this was in the packet as well, if we want to review any of that.
Need to be put together like throughout all the different workshops.
Yeah, this is what the group that participated in the strategic plan.
Motion to approve item C.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. D, approve the portrait of a graduate. Again, this is a part of that whole discussion, and really what that was just looking at what we, as the board, expect for somebody to look like when they graduate from Sweet Home High School, and the strategic plan is supposed to support that, so.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor? And any opposed? Okay, that gets us through that part. Now, just to kind of clean things up, this will then go to the Terry and his staff there, and they'll put together the actions for how to implement the strategic plan, and then it will come back for all of that to be approved again by the board, probably after the start of this next school year. There's a timeline up there. So look for that as to when that's going to come. So I won't be here for that, but it's there. So. All right, next we have approved the classified contract. And that has not changed from what we discussed in our last executive session regarding all of that. So, and it was ratified by the union. Yeah.
I agree that we approved of this, but.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Point of order, I have a wife who's a classified person. I probably should not vote.
Okay, you can because it's a class, but if you choose not to, we're not going to fault you for it. So.
There's
There's a class exemption, but Oregon Government Ethics Commission.
Right.
You're a member of that class, which is the difficult part.
we have enough people here, I think. So I understand the concerns. Actually.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, motion is to approve the classified contract. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Letter F, adopt the elementary and junior high health curriculum. Again, this is just junior high and high school. And it's, what's that? Junior high and elementary, sorry. Yeah, that would have got us in trouble, wouldn't it? Yeah, elementary, junior high. It has been on display. It's available to review, things like that, so. That's where we're at.
Go ahead.
And you, like you're saying, earlier, this is basically the same thing we've been running for 20+ years.
Teachers are happy with it. They had input on it. The community, this is something that probably a number of us in here had students go through. So yes,
No radical changes.
no.
Motion to adopt, yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to adopt the elementary and junior high health curriculum. Any discussion? Jim motion, Mary seconded. No discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And next we have this third reading, final reading for this list of board policies. I know last month there was some discussion about not moving on some of them because of political climates and changes and things like that that are going on.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt.
Okay.
We're back at the second page, it's the fourth one down. Which is the choice in the family and medical leave. Yep, the next one down, IKF graduation. Skip down to JECA, admission of resident students. And then two more down, JHCD medications.
The H, the AR, with it.
No,
You don't want to delete the.
yes, I'm sorry. And then JHCD / HCDA medications.
So we'll delete that policy, replace it with GHC.
And the AR,
Isn't the.
there's two different.
The motion that I'm setting forth.
Not included in that. Okay.
I'm sorry, Mary, could you just give me those real quick again?
Yes, the second page, so the fourth one down. Well, just instead of reading all those letters, it's the one family and medical leave.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want me to go through which ones again? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just the four that you just
Yeah,
said about
family and medical leave.
family medical leave, so that's a GC blah blah.
Yep.
Way out there, okay.
And four below that, admission of resident students.
Uh-huh.
Two below that, medications, and then two below that, the current policy.
Oh, yeah,
Because
the
that,
leave,
yeah, that's the other one.
but the last one, the second medication. We don't.
Those are administrative rules. They're similar to what would be a executive action or something like that on the federal level, where it's how it's implemented, how the policy is implemented. I said. We do have a motion on the floor, so is everybody clear on what the motion is?
To approve those four.
Yeah. We have to wait for a second before we can go through any more
I'll second.
clarification. Okay, we got a second from Dale, so now we can discuss it.
Okay. So if your motion passes, does that mean the other one's off the table?
No.
No,
No.
that means somebody can right afterwards can make a motion that includes all the remaining or a portion of the remaining. To approve them, to reject them, to table them. I think.
Okay, so is everybody clear on what the motion is, which ones we're looking at there? Okay, and any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Motion is to approve GCVDA, IKF, JECA, JHCD, and to delete JHCD / JHCA. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Terry, is there any of these others that have to be done for us to stay in compliance? Any of the title things, and we spoke that previously, that's kind of a state versus federal. So those are largely subject to change. Have one I want to speak to. The one that
GCAA standards for ethical performance Oregon educators. This is if you look at it, there's very few changes. The change that is positive for our students is under 8. Look at the definition of student under number 8 and go down to C. Was previously known as a student by the person engaging in sexual conduct who left school or graduated from high school. They're suggesting 1 calendar year instead of 90 days. And having gone through this in Alaska, more time we could put between a essentially senior student and staff, etc. The students are not the dating pool. And so right now, what we have is a set 90-day period. We can move that out. In Alaska, we tried to get a 2-year, and what ended up coming through was a 1 year. That was speaking specifically with staff, but when it comes to a student, moving that out, I think is something that should be considered 90-day to a year.
Make a motion and we approve that.
Okay, so the motion is to approve GCAA.
Standards.
I'll second that.
It's been seconded by Mary. Yep. Any discussion?
Does JHFF coincide with that? For the suspect sexual conduct?
It is moving up to from the 90-day to a year.
So you need that one also. So I amend my motion to include that all.
So the motion now includes JHFF / GBNAA for the same reason.
So does that be a second?
Yeah.
You need to amend your
you would need
second.
to- Okay, so the motion has been put forward to approve GCAA and JHFF / GBNAA, and seconded by Mary. So any discussion on those? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Nothing else, right, Terry? We're. Yeah, pressing.
First policy also has changed. Instead of.
Or GBMAA, JHFF, yeah, I think they got the,
That's kind of confusing because they're the same letters just reversed.
yeah, they're just backwards, and I wondered about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But I don't think that,
It's weird because it's
and
same title too.
same example.
yeah, I think we just got this same one on there twice. This is what's happened.
Just
So,
reverse.
And so they're the same, but they'll switch, so they do the same thing, but it'll go like that.
Well, one is for the reporting requirements, the other one's for the student.
Looks exactly the same. Yeah, it's the same.
Exactly the same. Well, if we approve the one, we don't necessarily need to approve the other.
Going to 2 different places. So probably, so one of those goes in, so. It's part of the work process go like maybe is for. So. Work policies for work do that. And then there's a section from parents and section. And so sometimes there's that small, so that I have basically the same. Wording, but
I would make a motion that we do that first one also.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve GBNAA / JHFF. And just to point out, I did find the difference. The two policies point to each other. And so on the second page of each of the policies on JHFF / GBNAA, they switched it, which policy it's pointing to. It's up there, the second paragraph. You can see the strike through and the addition to change the policy that that's pointing to. Other than that, they appear to be identical. So. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, motion is to approve GBNAA / JHFF. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Now, options for the rest. We can accept them, reject them, or let them die.
Well. Send them a message if you want to just. Keep on that, but
I don't think that the governor is really holding her breath as to what we do with this policy right now. So,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table remaining until September's board meeting.
Time certain. Not a table for time certain. September's meeting.
Because it gives. Who wants to,
hopefully let them figure their thing
yeah,
out.
figure stuff out.
Second.
So we do have a motion and a second to table the remainder of these policies until the September meeting. So everybody clear on that? That means you guys will have to deal with it. I won't. Yeah.
So by tabling it until then, does it go back to a first reading, or does it come back as a third reading?
Third reading.
Comes back as a third reading,
And then if it
basically.
comes back to the third reading, we can do any of the other things that we.
Just hopefully we'll have some clarity on where everything is between the federal government and the state at that point, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, again, to repeat, the motion is to table the remainder of the policies until the September 2025 meeting. So, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I'm opposed.
yeah, I say.
Say no, nay.
So we got
4, 3.
3 opposed, 5 in favor. So motion passes. All right.
Your math is correct.
What's that?
Your math is correct.
My math is correct. I'm mathing correctly tonight. What's that? Yep, now we have H, which is policy IKA that we moved forward from the informational section. Policy is regarding rating and reporting systems.
I say.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Again, this is just to clear a policy in compliance with our practice. Okay, motion is to approve IKA. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And I haven't received any other public comment requests since we did it earlier, but any of you guys want to be public and comment? Hey. Do you have any board comments tonight?
Can I ask? Elementary here? We got an email about a field trip. Or we,
We not received
we need
more
information.
information on that.
We'll need to make sure that Julie knows if we can attend graduation or not. Like Steve was saying, that's us and the +1 minus the +1 if we have to go inside with it. So, if you can attend, please let Julie know.
Can I tell you now, Julie? or you want me to
Yes.
finish? Yeah. Oh, if not, I'll be there. Well, if it's outside, if not, I'll be there.
I'll be attending.
I'll be there.
I am not gonna be there at another graduation.
Let you know.
It's going to happen on September 11th or 12th.
June.
No, okay, we're gonna have it in September, okay, after the. What happens is the parks are less full in that time, so we're gonna be able to do it easier. And so it's a leadership program for the doctors. And trying to get all the folks going on that. It reduces our price for Mike from, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 a year down to nothing. So it's worth me doing it. Jason, need your daughter's address. Phone number. All of them.
Others.
Yeah.
Depends where we put it possible. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
What you got, Terry?
Just for clarity, we will have the graduation outside if any way possible. Because the families, it's virtually unlimited. What can come. We move inside, we go down to the tickets, we go down to reduction with board. The directors are pushed out. Parents, a couple of years ago. When my son graduated, I was here that board down rate about halfway through. And the kids took out ponchos for their chairs, so we made it sweet on them, everybody was fine. Talking with parents the night before the parade, parents were very, very concerned. That we'd have to move inside, because potential rain will pass. Rain, we're gonna be out there, winds blowing, we're gonna be out there. We can have so many more people attend graduation. And believe me, Great Aunt Matilda from Cedar Rapids, Iowa will be coming to graduation. She's already bought her plane tickets, she's already. And so outside of active lake bullets, we will try and hold it outside so that everyone. So I want you to know the philosophy behind that. We get everybody in that we can, we go inside, that we're shrinks. That's hot. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. All right, I have no late items to add. So future agenda items, May 20, 2025. Just a reminder is the special district elections. There are 5 seats open on the board, so make sure you vote on that. What's that? May 20th.
Another week, Jim.
Another week. Yep, week from today.
Or
Next board officers meeting is Monday, June 2nd at 3:30 in the superintendent's office. Baccalaureate is Wednesday, June 4th. Don't have a location for that. But we could probably get that information. Is it at Community Chapel?
Sure, what time was it? The 7th or?
If you want to attend and you're not sure, clarify on that as well. Oh, it does say it on the handout there. Okay, perfect. Graduation is Friday, June 6th at 7 p.m. We're going to be there 6:30, 6:45, so we can get where we need to be.
North end of the track, that's where we'll get it.
Next board meeting is Monday, June 9th at 6:30 here. And we are planning a work session along with the new board members for Monday, June 23rd from 3 to 6 p.m. For training we're required to do annual board training. And so this is gonna be a part of that. And then hopefully new board members, we can kind of get them in, get them a little bit of a leg up before they actually are on the board. So they kind of understand how everything runs ahead of that. So that's the plan.
Julie, I know you're incredibly busy, but if you could send out a reminder for that, maybe. Thank you. Because I will forget it.
All right, and we are adjourned.